Hi everyone, it's Mitch, and it is Tuesday, March the 5th, 2019, here with your free live show. Of course, we're live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I have Brian Butler with us today. He's this way. I can't, everything's backwards. Right? But anyway, Brian's here with us. We're going to do a ton of free picks, just like we always do on our show. Of course, if you're watching us live or watching the replay, you can hit the thumbs up. Greatly appreciated. Not going to hold you hostage like some of the other guys do, saying, I'm not going to give you free picks unless you, hit the thumbs up or whatever. But like I said, takes you guys about a second, keeps this stuff free. And, of course, it's March. That means madness. And, of course, March Madness has begun last night with conference tournaments getting into action. So hopefully guys got off to a hot start. But anyways, Brian, how's it going?
Man, it's been rough lately. Last night, a lot of favorites cashing. My dogs didn't get it done, that's for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's been so streaky lately. It's like Saturdays, I seem to knock the cover off the ball, and then I have a couple games. But it seems that it always seems to run this way, that when we have these late free throws in the game, it just seems that sometimes they're always working against you, and sometimes they're always working for you. And lately, for me, they've all been against. So that means somebody else they're probably all working for. It always seems to be inverse on that sort of thing. But man, it's like these missed.
Virginia was hitting everything yesterday.
Yes, these missed free throws and made free throws at the end of games, just absolutely killer when it comes down to that. But that's that's why the guys who make the spreads are so good at it. It's like they just really are. Of course, NBA heading towards the playoffs, and boy, it just seems for teams like the Orlando Magic and the Spurs, Clippers, and the Jazz, the Rockets, all just so tight in the playoff standings. The Trailblazers and the Thunder. Just seems that when you get to the 8 to the 3 seed in the West, there's only a few games separating those teams. Just 3 games separating 8 and 3 in the West. Meanwhile, in the East, a little bit more separation as you go through, but the Sixers and the Pacers battling it out for the 3 spot, and the Magic just a 1-game lead over the Hornets and the Heat for the final playoff spot. So every game a playoff game for those 3 teams, the Magic, the Hornets, and the Heat. Meanwhile, the Celtics, Sixers, and Pacers kind of all battling it out, jockeying for position on who's going to get the home court in the opening round of the playoffs.
Definitely a lot of interesting line movements today that I'm watching on a couple games, even as I'm sitting here.
Is that in college or in?
We got it all over Philadelphia and Orlando. I know Embiid's questionable, but I'm sure that they figure him not playing into the line already. And Butler and Xavier.
Yeah, that traditionally Butler has owned Xavier. They've just owned him, but this one, it's a game we can go over if that's one that you wanted to go over or whatever the case may be. Kind of, we do at least 3 free picks every single day. Our best bets, both Brian and myself, over at Sports Chat Experts, Picks and Parlays, Bookie Blasters. You can check them out at any of those places. Brian, what kind of packages do you have available today?
3 days, $105, and 30 days. The best plan right now to get in on any handicap for $350. That'll take you through March Madness, and a lot of solid NBA and Major League Baseball just around the corner.
Yeah, Major League Baseball starting in just about 3 weeks. And, of course, we'll start going over maybe some Major League Baseball futures in the near future. Of course, both Brian and I are on Tony T's Sports Pick Info podcast. I've been doing it for about 8 years, and I'm glad that a lot of other cappers are getting in on the action now. Pretty excited about it. And a little update on the T-shirts. Looks like the order is in, and we will have those in time for March Madness. So I'll start laying out what the parameters are for people to get the T-shirts, and we'll start getting those out to people. Like I said yesterday, we'll start with the premium members and people that have made purchases at Sports Chat Experts, and then all the rest of them will be available to everybody else, and we'll see how many shirts we have and as far as what the parameters are. But it will definitely have something to do with at least subscribing and sharing and thumbs up and all kinds of stuff like that on our social media channel. But anyways, could start getting into some of today's action. Where do you want to start, Brian?
I'll tell you what, we could do the Xavier Butler.
Go for it.
I'm beginning when I woke up this morning around 6 or 7. I was looking at Butler. It dropped down to -3, and I was thinking about getting on Butler. I saw people getting on Xavier, and now it's up to 4.5, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't jump on Butler. But I like Butler Bulldogs tonight and that losing streak.
Yeah, this will be senior night for Butler. It's one thing you have to take into consideration on these weeks is that one thing you have to take into consideration these weeks is that senior night in a lot of places. It'll be senior night for Butler. Hasn't been the best year for Butler, but hasn't been a great year for Xavier either. Xavier comes in red hot, winning their last 5, covering in all 5 of those games. I believe they were a dog in all 5 of those games, so they won outright as a dog in every one of their last 5 games. Meanwhile, Butler, they've lost 4 of their last 5 straight up, haven't covered in any of those losses, and before that, they lost, I believe, 3 of 5. But anyways, for me, it's, this is a tough game, one that I personally am not betting. Kind of, when we look at the numbers, it's splitting hairs. These teams are geographically located really close to one another. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to disagree with you here. I'm going to ride Xavier. They've been so hot. And, to me, it's like I always, when it's splitting hairs, I always like to take points and take the team with the better defense, and I think I got that here with Xavier. So we'll disagree on this one. It's not the first time we've ever disagreed on a pick, and it won't be the last, that's for sure. But Brian likes Butler -4. I like Xavier plus.
It's no fun if you agree all the time. That's
no,
for
sure. There's no value. People, I get this comment a lot at Sports Chat Place. It's like your premium pick is Team A and your free pick is Team B. It's like, well, I don't write the free picks, and we also don't sit around like a table and decide, like, all of our premium cappers, all of our free pick writers. We don't like sit around a table and say, okay, well, the site pick is going to be this today. We don't do it that way. The way that we do it is it's the opinion of the person that's either the premium capper that's put out the premium pick, or it's the opinion of the writer, and that's why. During NFL, when we'll cover the same game a couple of times because it's so popular and people want more than one opinion on it anyway. So we have 2 writers. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. Sometimes one gives a pick on the total, sometimes one gives a pick on the side, and we just go from there. But while we're in college hoops, let's go somewhere. Of course, our best bet's always over at Sports Chat Experts, picksandparlays.net, Bookie Blasters. And, of course, you can always hear more of Brian and myself on the podcast Sports Pick Info. I have a player on the front of the site at Sports Chat Place where you guys can listen to it. You can get it at iTunes. You can get it at Google Podcast, SoundCloud, tons of different places called Sports Pick Info. Brian's on there. I'm on there. We have Dana Lane is on there all the time. Alex Smart, just a lot of guys. Joe Duffy is on there all the time. Joe D'Amico is on the show. Just a lot of different handicappers, a lot of good information, a lot of free picks. I know we're doing a March Madness roundtable coming up. But while we're talking about free picks, let's get to another game. Brian hates it when I just randomly pick games out of the blue. Normally,
I'm ready. I got my board here to scroll through quick.
Totally unprepared for these, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to go to the Boston College, North Carolina game. Once again, senior night at Boston College. They're getting 10.5 points here against the Tar Heels. The world on North Carolina as they're looking at a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. All of a sudden, all season long, no one really mentioned North Carolina, as a number 1 seed. Now all of a sudden, North Carolina, Virginia, and Duke all in position for a number 1 seed. Just seems to be a lot of crowded space at the top. For me, I like Bowman at Boston College. He was recruited by North Carolina, and they wanted him to play, I believe, football. I think what happened with him was most people looked at him as a football player. He's actually a basketball player, and he's a damn good one. I think Boston College finds a little heart. They dig a little deep, and we've seen North Carolina be kind of up and down. I know they're 9-2 against the number on the road. Boston College is 6-10 against the number at home. Only 31% of the public on Boston College, so that's where I'm going to be with the 31%. I'm going to take Boston College here in 10.5 points. That would be my pick for this one. How about you, Brian? You got a pick in this Boston College, North Carolina?
Oh, man, I absolutely love Boston College here. North Carolina has Duke on deck, I believe, at home. Might be a little distracted looking past Boston College. I would definitely take the points here at BC. Love it.
Yeah, that is what Brian just said. That is the textbook trap game. Is when the team has the big game coming up next. It's kind of an opponent that they have a losing record. They're not really jacked to play and anything like that. They're kind of just they're kind of there. And, you would expect to see North Carolina looking ahead to that Duke game. And it's a monster Duke game because more than likely it's going to have a big impact as to the seedings in the NCAA tournament. But so we're both on that one. You want to take us into another pick, Brian, or you want me to go?
I'll let you man the controls here.
All right. We have a lot of games on board, so if you have a premium pick on the game, on the side or total, on a game that I pick, because Brian and we obviously didn't go over this beforehand, all you got to do is say, I got a premium pick in this one, and I feel really strongly about it. You don't have to say if you agree with me or disagree, and then just give a pick on the total. If your pick is on the total, say, I love this team to win, but my stronger pick is on the total because I got a premium pick on that one. So I'm going to go to Ole Miss where they're playing Kentucky. I mean, how fast is this Kentucky team? This is like a track meet. The craziest thing, right, this past week, of all the sports news that have been out there, the craziest news that kind of flew under the radar, of course, I love the Kareem story, how he sold his memorabilia. But to me, the craziest news is the news out of the NFL Combine where the Ole Miss players are all running 4.3 40s. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're a defensive lineman, a wide receiver, a corner, a safety. They're running 4.3, 4.4 40s across the board. How did this team not go undefeated? And Hugh Freeze, you can see how he ended up getting run from Ole Miss. But one thing that we've seen on the court out of the Kentucky Wildcats this year is this team is lightning fast. They are so fast. One of the fastest college basketball teams I've seen in a long time. But the problem is for Kentucky, when they visit other teams, it's the Super Bowl for the other team. And especially in conference, we've seen the conference home dogs do absolutely miraculous things over the past 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't think it would be such a miracle for the 19-10 Rebels to pull off the upset here and beat Kentucky outright. I think I'm going to go with the Rebels in this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to take the money line or the points. I'll let you guys decide on what you want to do with it. But let's just say I'm on the Rebels, and I'll figure it out as I go. Maybe I'll play both. How about you, Brian? You going to go with the road favorite in the conference game?
I tell you, these last two games are the two games that just barely missed my premium list, but I really love Ole Miss in this game, and I don't think it would be wrong to parlay Ole Miss and Boston College. I really like both those games, almost about the same. Kentucky coming off of emotional loss at Tennessee, a little letdown. I think they might take Ole Miss for granted here.
Yeah, I think they might as well. But I just think that what we'll see is just so much emotion, and of course Kentucky coming off of that loss at Tennessee, where it was just you want to talk about this is I talk about it in the premium picks a lot. I don't get to talk about it a lot on the show, but there are certain games in college football and college basketball, mostly in college sports. You see it in pro sports once in a while, but in college sports, you see it more often where a team plays in a game where it's just, this is just a bad spot. This is just a game where you don't want to be. And I think that we saw it Kentucky on Saturday at Knoxville. It was it didn't matter. If they played that game on the moon, Tennessee was still going to win. They were so jacked for it after getting blown out at Rupp Arena. And I think that we might have a similar situation here in Tuscaloosa where the Crimson Tide take on Auburn. Another rivalry game in the SEC with a home dog. And we have an Auburn team that has really been lousy on the road this season, just 2-7 against the number, 3-6 straight up. We know no one recruits like Bruce Pearl, and no one uses the recruiting tactics that Bruce Pearl uses either. But at the same time, he always seems to get a lot of talent on his teams, and I know he's got a talented team here with Auburn. We know that this is the way that that I've described the Bruce Pearls over the years, and I've said this on the shows, and I've said this on podcasts, I've said this on television, I've said it everywhere. Bruce Pearl always has a really strong recruiting class. Then he always has that one guy who's just, he might qualify, he might not qualify, he might be eligible, he might not be eligible, and it's if he gets in, Auburn's really good. If he doesn't get in, Auburn's not as good and might not be good at all. This year, he didn't really have that guy. It didn't get strung out to the final, last minute or even 3 or 4 games into the season like we've seen. But I have to say that this Auburn team, all the way since November in Maui, has been somewhat disappointing. And I just think that it's been on the road where they've been disappointing. This Auburn team has been ranked in the top 10 several times this season, and they've never been able to back it up. Meanwhile, Alabama, a little bit of a letdown for this team as well. They've really underperformed, especially at home, in winnable games. But the Tide's 17-12 coming into this game, and I would say this is a must-win game for Alabama. If they want to have any hopes at all, I know Joe Lunardi has them in the tournament right now, which is crazy. At 17-11, he has them in as he had them as an 11. Let me just double check on the latest update. He has them in as an 11 in the South, playing against Nevada. I'm not sure if they are able to hold that if they lose this game and don't perform well in the SEC tournament. But I like them in this spot. I love the home dogs in conference games, especially in the Southeast Conference. I'm going to take Alabama plus the 2.5. Brian, any thoughts here on the Tide and the Tigers?
Alabama's burned me a couple times, but I think I'll lean to Alabama on this one at home. It's tough to not play that dog.
Alabama's just crushed me a few times as well, but I'll tell you, Auburn hasn't been such a treat to me either, especially in the road games. So, I don't know. Both these teams, this is a game I'm not rushing out to bet. So another game where we have a home dog and a conference game, when we look at this last week of college hoops, is Purdue taking on Minnesota. What we've seen from Purdue, when they're home and when they're on, they are on. They're 9-1 straight up in their last 10 games, which is 4-6 against the number on the road this season. 5-5 straight up. While Minnesota, Patino, coaching 13-3 at home, 8-8 against the number, 6-4 against the spread in their last 10 games. I think Edwards is one of the best players in the country, the point guard at Purdue, but I think the problem is that when he gets into these weird road spots and the crowd starts going wild, what we've seen from him is that he throws up some crazy shots. You have any thoughts here on the Gophers hosting Purdue?
Well, that's one I'm probably going to have to pass. I think it's a coin flip for me, and definitely a game I won't be betting. I can't get a hold on that game.
Well, you got me. It's a home dog in a conference game on senior night. I'm going to stick with my theme here and go with those. I think this is going to be a miserable night for those players that play those 15, that we see in the group that play these 10-card favorite money line parlays. Yeah. It's going to be a bad night. It's going to be a real bad night because we've gone over right now. This is our 5th game that we've done on the show. 4 of the games have home dogs. So and some of them are substantial. In this one, we have inverse line movement, which is 39% of the public on Minnesota, and the line dropping a half a point. Of course, Purdue playing for a big seed in the tournament, a big one, not just a spot like some of these other teams, or to move up between a 6 and an 8 or something. We're talking about a Purdue team that's playing for possibly one of the top ones. Minnesota, meanwhile, they're looking at an 11 seed, and that puts them in Joe Lunardi's bracket up in the Midwest, up against Mississippi State, which is a really bad game for them because Mississippi State is just so damn physical that I can't see Minnesota holding up against them in that kind of matchup. But it's these are two NCAA tournament teams, so plenty to go here. But you want to look at some NBA, Brian, or you want to stick to the college? You have any games you're looking at here, or you want me to go NBA? Of course, I like Vermont minus 13.5 against UMass.
You know what? I looked at that, and I like Massachusetts Lowell, or I don't even know how to pronounce their name. But I like the other team, that one, plus 13.5, I think it is.
Yeah, we've been on Vermont so much this season, and the thing about them is they haven't been as good recently. We rode Vermont in every single game this season on the show. We're up to a 17-5 number against the spread. They're now
nice.
17-9. They have not been good against the number recently. Everybody caught on to to our cash machine, but this is the tournament. So if Vermont gets knocked out of the tournament, they're not going to make it to the NCAA tournament, and they're setting up for a big game in the NCAA tournament. I like Vermont in this one. I think they just absolutely crush them. They get back on the horse. So Brian's going to take the other side, but I'm on our Vermont Catamounts. I've been on them all season, and of course.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, it's been broke recently. Vermont hasn't been getting it done. It's ever since the public jumped on board with us, the word got out. But so Brian's going to take the other side. So we're fine with it. We're not going to agree on everything, and I'll tell you what: if he's jumped on the other side in these games, he's been on the money in Vermont over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go to the NBA 6-game card. I did dog of the day. I got 3 premiums out there. You have any premiums today in the NBA, Brian?
I got a big game: Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors tonight. It's my after-hours winner.
Is that the side or total, or both?
It's on the side.
All right, so Brian's got to play on the Celtics and Warriors. I know that's a big game. I think when the season started, we don't have to give a pick on it. I just wanted to say a couple words about it. I think when the season started that these were the 2 teams that I think most people predicted would be in the NBA Finals this year, playing against each other. Celtics kind of just missed last year. Meanwhile, and Kyrie Irving was out, and so was Gordon Hayward. Meanwhile, the Warriors have been a machine the last several years. But I would say the way both these teams have played over the last 10 games, I don't know if either of them make it to the NBA Finals. But we got
yeah. I made a mistake of betting Boston Celtics futures at the beginning of the year because I like the value with them, and I thought their young players would progress a little bit more. But with Hayward, they haven't really gelled together cohesively. I think they're worse with Kyrie Irving playing. So that was a lost money. I'm not going to get that money back.
Yeah, well, you might because when they get to the playoffs, it can be a different story. Of course, if you're watching us, if you could hit the thumbs up, greatly appreciated. It costs you nothing, helps us a ton. How about the Houston Rockets taking on the Toronto Raptors? The Rockets have been rolling. They got healthy, and they got rolling. They've won 5 in a row. Meanwhile, the Raptors 2-2 in their last 4 games. A little bit dinged up as they head into this one. It's to me, it's like we knew the Rockets were going to get better when Capella came back, and but to me, the Raptors, it's just tough to really even figure this team out. They go into Detroit, they lose in overtime. Then, they beat the Blazers and the Celtics at home, lose to the Magic at home by 15 points. Kawhi Leonard, of course, not in these games. But, to me, it's just, I think it's tough to go against James Harden when he's rolling like this. And we've seen him carry teams on his back at every level. When he was at Arizona State, he did the same thing with them. It was men against boys. And, boy, I think James Harden is ready to put on a show here. I'm going to take the Rockets in this one. How about you? Any
Yeah, like
here?
You talk about these. For me, these teams are pretty even, and it's hard to pass up the points. I think it's a 2-point winner either way, so I kind of like the Rockets with the points.
I think I'm with you on that one. That with the points, we're probably good, but I really think the Rockets have a chance to win this game. We'll go one more pick because I have premiums. Plus, I did dog of the day. Let's see if we even have anything to go on. We really don't. I don't know. We'll go back. We'll do one more college pick since I kind of did the fake out there. But of course, if you guys can hit the thumbs up, greatly appreciated. Cost you nothing. Helps us a bunch. Let's go. I'm going to throw out another college pick. I know Brian, or we can go to the NHL. Do a quick NHL.
Yeah, I got an NHL one waiting.
All right, let's go. Let's hear some NHL from Brian. Our audience loves NHL, but they know I never give it out because I don't watch it personally.
Well, we got the public pounding on the Boston Bruins at home. Carolina is not bad. They're just behind the Bruins, and you're seeing a ton of money on the Bruins. Line went from -160, -145. Carolina, you're getting +125. I love the dog here. Anything plus money in hockey. I usually do a little bit of hockey, but when I do, it's always plus money.
Yeah, you're getting good value here on Carolina. This is just one of those value spots. I can see it, just doing handicapping 101 here and seeing, Carolina 18-13-2 on the road this season. Boston 24-7-2. This game is closer to a pick'em than anything else. So getting plus money on Carolina seems to be.
And Carolina's won 5 straight also coming into this one.
Not a bad place to be. For me, it's like let me look at see if I can come up with something. Boy, I just stink at hockey so bad. I don't like to do it. And like you, it's like if there's big odds, I'll go back to college basketball and just give out another pick there. It's easier for me, and I'll round it out with that. Let's go to South Carolina at Texas A&M. I'll go with another dog here. I'll take South Carolina +4.5 against Texas A&M. Frank Martin, I know 2 years ago he made it to the Final Four with this team, and it was one of the best coaching jobs in the postseason that you'll ever see. But I think Frank Martin this year, in a rebuilding year, has done an even better job. He hasn't had anything to work with. He has one really good player in Silva, and outside of that, he just doesn't have much, and he's done basically miracles with this team. I'm going to take South Carolina +4.5, and that'll be my last pick for today's show. Recapping, Brian has a big play in the NBA in the Celtics-Warriors game. You can get that at Sports Chat Experts, picksandparlays.net, or Bookie Blasters. You can get it at any of those places. I have a 5-pack in college basketball. There's a lot of games tonight, so $49.99 on that. Pretty good deal. Of course, you can also get my picks, sportschatplace.com, Premium Plus. So we opened up the show. Brian took Butler at home -4. I took Xavier, who's won 5 in a row, all as dogs, +4. So we didn't agree on that one. But then we both like Boston College as the home dog at +10.5. Ole Miss as the home dog at +5 against the Kentucky Wildcats, who are playing for a #1 seed. We both like Alabama at home against Auburn. Brian, not as hot on it as and I'm not ultra hot on the game. We've both been roasted by Alabama this season and by Auburn, so I'd say tread lightly with that one, and you might want to get into the fractional units in that if you must. Minnesota, I like +5 at home against Purdue. Brian said, I don't care about that game at all, and I want to stay as far away from as possible. Vermont, I took Vermont -13.5 because I've taken Vermont every game this season. I'm still 17-9 against the number with my Catamounts, so I'm playing with house money there. Brian took the other side with Lowell. Took the Rockets +3.5 against Toronto. We both agreed on that one. We saw it as a 2-point game. Brian sees it as a 2-point game. That with 3.5, you're good either way. I think the Rockets are going to win that game outright. Brian took the Carolina Hurricane in the NHL +125. Not advertised in the title or description of this show, but We did an NHL pick. Then I took the South Carolina Gamecocks at +4.5. I took every other SEC dog. Why not? Anyways, thanks for joining us. This is Mitch and Brian. Thanks for joining us. We'll have Brian back on, of course, at least once a week as we go forward. And we'll continue on with things. Of course, be sure to join us in the Facebook group. Hit the thumbs up. I'll have more information over the next few days on how you guys can get the free T-shirts. But sending me an email saying I want a free shirt is not one of those. But I will lay out like exactly what you have to do to get the free shirts. But they will be 100% free for everyone. Anyways, have a great day, everyone. See ya later.